I think it's safe to say we all dislike, maybe even despise, hypocrites. The politician who breaks rules while calling for compliance from everyone else. The boss who demands punctuality but arrives late to every meeting. The friend who holds you to a standard they would never apply to themselves. The disgust is immediate and universal. Nobody defends the hypocrite, except when we're the hypocrite. Then we have all kinds of rationalizations for the choices we made. We hold the world to rigorous standards, and we are Olympic-level gymnasts when it comes to rationalizing our own shortcuts. The snooze button was necessary because last night was stressful. The harsh tone with the employee was justified because they should have known better. The skipped workout does not count because the conditions were not ideal. Every lapse has a story. Every story paints you as the exception. Today we're going to look at a test that cuts through those stories. It bridges ancient Stoic discipline with an honest, unyielding grip on reality. I call it the No-Special-Pleading test. Hey there, it's me, Core, and you are listening to Exercising Consistency, from fitness to flourishing. Here is my thinking behind this test. The individual alone determines their standard of personal excellence. This is not moral relativism. Observable, broadly agreeable anchors of human excellence exist. For example, life over death, health over sickness, sufficiency over deprivation, kindness over cruelty. These provide gravitational pull toward common ground. This is not prescriptive, and there is no mandate of uniformity across human experience. But as a practical heuristic, it proves true, especially if the individual considers their own preferences. The individual standard is then checked against these anchors through a test of universal application. This is based on Kant's own test of moral action, stripped of his metaphysical scaffolding. If I haven't lost you already, let me explain. In application, this is really very simple. You'll be using this to follow through more consistently in no time. In the 18th century, Immanuel Kant, a German philosopher and one of the foremost thinkers of the Enlightenment, proposed a test for moral action he called the categorical imperative. Before you act, you would ask yourself, would it be acceptable if everyone else acted this way too? If you cannot universalize the rule behind your action without contradiction, the action is immoral. The test sounds good on paper. Kant, however, took it to its logical extreme, meaning he went too far. He argued you should never lie for any reason. Even if a murderer knocks on your door looking for your roommate, lying to the murderer, Kant claimed, still violates the universal law. The rule cannot be broken, regardless of context, consequences, or simple common sense. This was called out by many philosophers and thinkers using many different arguments. You don't need to be a professional philosopher to see the problem with Kant's conclusion. When someone is intending immoral acts, lying to them is not immoral. It is an act of self-defense to protect an innocent life. Context matters. Facts matter. An abstract rule applied without reference to objective reality is not morality. It's dogma. Now, how does that relate to what I'm calling the No-Special-Pleading test? In logic, special pleading is attempting to make yourself an exception to a rule without an objective, factual reason. You're not arguing that the rule should be different for everyone. You are arguing it should be different for you right now because of how you feel. The murderer at the door scenario is not a case of special pleading. You are not claiming an exemption based on mood or convenience. You are aligning your action with the objective fact that an innocent life is under threat and the aggressor has immoral intentions. The values of life over death and kindness over cruelty, at a minimum, take precedence over staying honest and telling the murderer your roommate is behind the couch. Hitting snooze because you are tired is special pleading. Snapping at someone because you are stressed is special pleading. Skipping the workout because the conditions are not ideal is special pleading. In each case, you are claiming your current internal state grants you a hall pass from your commitment. The rule applies to everyone else. You get a pass because you feel like you deserve one. Epictetus, the ancient Stoic teacher, taught that the first step in any moment of choice is to see reality clearly. Accept the facts. Do not argue with them. Do not negotiate with them. The facts are the facts. The No-Special-Pleading test is a 3-step audit you run in the moment of choice. Step 1. The objective facts. What is the unvarnished reality of the situation? For example, I committed to waking up at 5 a.m. to work on my business. It is now 5 a.m. Step 2. The argument for exception. What is the inner lawyer's argument for granting an exception? For example, but I had a stressful day yesterday, so I deserve an extra hour of sleep. Step 3. The verdict. Is this exception based on an objective change in reality, or am I special pleading? For example, unless the house is on fire or I am medically ill, my stress level is not an objective reason to break my word. I am special pleading. Get up. The test does not ask whether you are a good person. It asks whether you are being logically consistent. That distinction matters. People who pride themselves on being rational find it uncomfortable to catch themselves in a logical fallacy. That discomfort can be productive. The No-Special-Pleading test is not a standalone tool. It's a mechanism that activates the foundational skill of virtuous self-control. You see the gap between your standard and your impulse. You name the attempt at pleading a special exception. You override it. That override is the skill, and like every skill, it strengthens through repetition. Each time you catch special pleading and act on the objective facts instead of the inner lawyer, you're training virtuous self-control. That neural pathway in the brain strengthens. The next override becomes easier. The test does not make you impervious to special pleading. It makes you aware. And awareness of your own rationalizations is the beginning of every real change. Stop making yourself the exception. The facts are the facts. The standard is the standard. Follow through on what you said you would do. To exercise consistency and become the person who follows through on their most important goals, join the Act Score Challenge. That's it for today. Catch you next time.